Well, the family came from Clare originally, and the next step is they came up to here. So when Strongbow came over, he got a good job. So he got a townsland called Griffin. So that's the Griffins, where the paper mills is Griffin. So they moved from there then up to Ballinacole, Nicholas-town. And that's where John O'Donovan, a field away from John O'Donovan, that's the scholar. They moved up there. So they got married there, two families up there. And one was famous and the other was infamous on the maternal side. One married Gaffney. That's the Battle of Ross. He was hung on the bridge of Ross. Gaffney was. So a Griffin was married to him. And the other man...
He was hung, you said?
Yeah, Gaffney, yeah.
For what?
Oh God, in 1798... Yeah.
Oh, for the rebellion?
What?
During the rebellion?
Well, if you want the right expression around here, I'd say because they pissed on the gunpowder. There's a battle won, and they all got drunk, and next thing, didn't the yeomen come a second time, and they had the battle about Ross won. So Gaffney got the blame for one part of it. Now the other part of the family on the maternal side is the opposite. The family of Waterfords. Now they were all seamen, and from West Cork and Kerry, and they were the first shipping, the first into shipping. So where he's famous is he was the captain of the Jeannie Johnson, the Attridge. Yeah. So one of them moved. That just moved into Waterford, and there were four captains in Waterford. Were the Attridges, Cooks, Henneberries, and Halligans. They were captains. They were doing the shipping for the Cork Company, and the Cork Company was named Donovan. So John O'Donovan comes into it again someplace along the line because he came from down there. Now John O'Donovan was supposed to, his family must have came with the Cork militia that was going to Wexford. That the Donovans came to here. But anyway, that's the historians had thought. But anyway.
And what's your early memories then of this area?
As well. Well, my memories was the corner up there. That's where I was born, and my earliest memories was of the village. The village was a thatch village. To there, most of it there, thatch village, and very few houses. When I was young, I had no one to play with, only two Hartleys that lived down the other end of the village. The rest of them were adults, and they were all old, and they were all scholars. They were all teachers, doctors, and the villagers, and professors. The Dowlings had 5 generations of teachers in Slieverue, starting at Hackett's, Dowlings, Brennans, and Welches. And the present man of Welches is now is Javis Welch. That's that wrote the book, the last book there about the racing. David Welch, they were born at that house. All that then.
It's the journalist, the Sunday Times journalist.
Yes. But they were all scholars. That the Dowlings, they wrote the Hedge Schools of Ireland. They went to go live in London. And
would these be related to Dan Dowling and Dick Dowling?
No, different Dowlings. Yeah, well, they're probably related back a bit. But the Slieverue Dowlings was they were teachers. There are three, and on the paternal side, the wife, Mrs. Brennan, she was a Dowling, and her was a Hackett. See, and the school was out there, right behind you. That was there weren't roads that time; there were lanes, so that was the front of the village.
The front of the village is behind you.
That was the front. This was the back. This only came into being when they put the Ross Road in 1910. The Ross Road was a Ross. Then the village reversed around. Now, up to that time, this was the back Valletta house below, and the farmyard, and the orchard, and the managers would be in a house, this house, I presume, and Dowlings and things. They'd be the managers for the landlord. But the front.
Who was the landlord?
Vallatta's. Do you know what? I don't.
Oh, we'll get it.
They're going back, anyway. They came from Valletta.
Okay.
The island Valletta. Yeah. So the way into Slieverue that time, then, if you're coming from Waterford, you come as far as the mile post. That's why they call it a post. That's where the Bankenny coaches used to stop. And they turn right then and come around the lower road. And the lower road would be the main road then, if you like. That's carriages that all go that way. And they keep going till they come down to where the railway bridge is now. And Powers of Bellevue went to the right, and Snow Hill went straight on. And up Martystown, Ringville, into Ross. But when the road opened here, all that changed. Everything was reversed, and they became. So the main gates of Valletta House was down the Kilmurray there, where the Henneberries lived. Now the Henneberries, the captain of one of them, that was one of the captains that we're talking about. So there was a big avenue down to there. So this was the back, the stables were there. And now the church was there. The original church was Knockanaffrin, which was up just behind the present one. And that's where the penal masses and all were said. And there were mass pats to them. And the mass pats came from the river, Waterford, up, dead straight to the church. If you're in Waterford, in Ferrybank, you go in there and you come straight up, and you come back Valdys and all, and come down the hill, and some would go over to the Commons in Ballinamona, because that was the school run there. The other mass pats would come out there down the end of the village here. But from the river to the church was dead straight.
So during penal times there was mass here?
Oh yeah,
but
not gonna
there would be mass maybe in Waterford maybe?
No. There wasn't even a mass in Ferrybank. This church was built 50 years before. This was the second church when Catholic emancipation came, after the penal laws. This church, an owning church, and the two of them were built on the same year, 1800s. But the owning opened first before Slieverue. So Slieverue have to take second place. But they're in 1800s. I think it's 1830s Ferrybank, is it? That was Chapel of EIGSE. Parish priest lived up here. So the curate lived in two houses. So they used to come to Mass from Waterford out to here. see, but everything reversed then. Yeah.
And when you were small, do you remember going to church?
Where, here?
Here.
Oh, yeah. Go on. I served Mass, I think, at 5 years of age. Up, yeah. Up the back. Like,
And did they do it in Irish?
What?
Was it Latin?
Oh, Latin. Latin that time, yeah. James Quillet in nomine Patris Felix Sancta, and a Troy boat tarry day, the priest to say, and we say, I can't say it, it's gone for me. Wait now. A Troy boat, he's the priest to say, a Dame Quillet Tificat Juventus Mea was the answer to the blessing. And at the end, we couldn't grasp it. We were learning, and we couldn't grasp it. So the teacher that used to teach us came out from town. She was a Miss Jane, an aunt of the Manahan family. Yeah. So she came out. She got a job in the school here. Now she got the job because my mother was a school teacher up in Pilltown, and Miss Jane was the monitor. So when my mother got married and came down here, she sent Miss Jane came down. So that's how Miss Jane became the teacher. Miss Jane, that's how she came to Waterford.
And because she was related to the Manahans, was she musical?
She was Mrs. Yes, she was, but not teach. She didn't teach music now.
Okay.
Mrs. Brennan done all that. Yeah, the Dowlings. They were into the music. Yeah, but anyway, one Sunday we couldn't grasp the Latin. He used to come out. He used to be between prayers. Miss Jenna come out between the masses, and she teaches the mass, you know. But anyway, we couldn't grasp the Latin. So one of the Manans came out. Now, don't ask me which one, whether it is Jez or the others. One of them came out because she was sick, you know. And of course, he was teaching us the part of the mass between the two masses. And he came to a big word. He says, in the middle of Mass, as soon as the bell go now, he's not a priest anymore. He's the Lord. As soon as the bell go, dead silence, you know. And it's called substantiation. Is the big word. Do you understand it? we didn't, you know. So he kept asking us. We couldn't even pronounce it, but transubstantiation is, he says, do you feel the wind? He says, we don't. do you hear it? We do. Do you see it? We don't. Well, you can hear it. Wait, no, what did he say? You can feel it, you can hear it, but you can't see it. That was substantiation. The wind, he took the wind as an example. Now, when the teacher told us that was to be asking this, was it him or the other? You can hear it, you can feel it, and you, what's the three things?
But you can't see it.
But you can't see it. So, and it's the same with the church, you know. That's
like the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, to the truth we cannot understand used to be the big word that come along then. So that was the.
And did you like school?
What?
Did you like school? Did you like primary school?
Well, I didn't. If they're in good humour, it's great. And if they came in bad humour, God help you. And it was corporal punishment. Bang, bang, bang the whole time. You know, stick that length. And yeah, but looking back, they were great teachers.
And who was your friends in school?
Oh, sure, my friends in school, one of them won 6 All-Ireland medals. 6 All-Ireland. They won All-Ireland. There 6 of them they won All-Irelands. 4 of them won senior. If you're ever at a quiz and you're asked that question, how many Slieverue men won a senior All-Ireland? And they get the answer wrong. They'll name Bobby Hinks. Now, he didn't go to school with me, but he was the first man to win in All-Ireland. He was from Bellevue. He came up. He lived on the EIGSE. But he was the first man to win in All-Ireland for Slieverue, 1936. So the gentry was the first man. The gentry, the tenant farmers, that killed the tenant farmers, that threatened the tenant farmer that won in All-Ireland the first. You know, the Welshes and the Gillipatricks, the Fitzpatricks and all, you know. But it was a man from the gentry.
Really, a landlord's son?
No, he worked on it. His father worked.
Okay.
His father was boatman from Bellevue to Cheek Point, across the river. Powers were across the river, where De La Salle is, where the hotel is now. So that was there. And his father was boatman, and he came from Rose Garden, the estate Rose Garden down in Wexford. They came up to here, and the estate they transferred up to here. Yeah, and Bobby that won All-Ireland, he transferred to Tramore. And Hilton Hinks, the motorcycling, auto racer. That's his grandson. Yeah. Bobby lived in when the father came to Slieverue. These houses were built in 1939. The Hinkses got one of the houses. So he moved up, and the father, instead of boatman at Bellevue, he worked for the priest. He worked for the priest down. So that's how they came. Bobby then got married and lived down in Christendom and was working in Clover Meads. Now the two he was a church hand, and his Seth and Alfie Hale were in charge of the sausage loft. Yeah, 110 girls, if you know what I mean. The two were making sausages.
Because my father worked there.
Did he?
The sausage loft.
Yeah.
Willie Breslin.
Yeah, should I work with him? He was actually on the sausage machine. He was on the sausage machine that fed all them girls. And the way the machine he'll tell you himself. All he had to do was leave it out, and to be a long string, a sausage, you know, and to be a mile long, continuous. So the girls chopped them off then, and there were 16s and 12s and 10s and whatever you wanted.
And did you work in the sausage loft?
The what?
Did you work there in the sausage?
No, I was a fisher, I was a maintenance. I was in the...
So you went around to all the machines?
General, all the machines, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had. But the boss of the sausage loft now, what I want to tell you. Alfie Hale, the father of the soccer players, he was living in the second thatched house. That family came during Father Dunn's time, and they were living for a while in the first thatched cottages there. And the second family that came down with them, that used to drive them in, no motor cars that time, was the Fitzgerald soccer families.
My God.
So the Fitzgeralds and the Hales was originated in the village of Slieverue.
That's really funny, because I mean, they're two probably the most famous soccer families.
Soccer family in Ireland, probably in the world now. They were living in houses, when the detached houses. You know, people lived in them for a while and they died, and the next family, but there were no one actually in it for a couple of years. Chapel woman lived in one of them, and the grave digger lived in the other one. And believe it or not, but there was an itinerant man came around, and he was living in the third one, and he went into to cast iron. He used to melt the irons. He'd make them pots and pans and everything at the back of the house. He had a big fire, big bellows, and you twist a big thing. And he got the mud out of the bog up, and he made the pattern with the mud, and he poured the metal into it. Yeah. The biggest sellers was like, they were irons. They used to be iron, and when they take out the red part and shove it into, they were the big sellers. But anyway, he was John O'Connor, man.
Was there a blacksmith here in Slieverue?
What?
A blacksmith.
Oh, they were. A famous blacksmith. His name was Mickey Carney. And he lived down in Gortines. He was down in Gortines. Well, now, what I can tell you about Mickey Carney, he have a grandson walks around the village here, and but anyway, he's Carney. The President of America is Carney, born up in wherever up in the centre of Ireland. But he was Carney.
Who is this now?
The last man.
Obama?
Yeah, Obama, yeah.
He's related to the Carneys.
He's a Carney. So Mickey Carney was here, and he's a Carney up there. Now the president, seemingly the fellow up there, and Kilkenny, Carney was in Kilkenny, and was originally down as a shoemaker. But Mickey Carney was a shoemaker for a horse. So he might have been in history, you know. Well, anyway, the Malone family is married to the Carneys. The mother is a Carney. But you look at one of the Malones past his image of Obama. He's the same build and all of them. So there's they have the name of and the connection. Yeah.
And Michael, you were saying that there was a lot of. Did you play hurling when you were in school?
I did.
Were you any good?
I was good enough for the tennis team. Play for tennis.
Oh yes, you went after school here then. How did you become a fitter? How did that happen?
In tennis.
Okay, so you got a job in tennis.
I served my time in tennis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tennis was a big factory, wasn't it?
Oh, great factory, yeah. Yeah. Dry curing. Dry curing. All dry curing is maple flour. And all the sides of the pigs will be put on it, on the floor. And you throw salt on them and leave them for a couple. You'd often see them advertising maple flavour for, yeah. But it was a cellar. It was maple in the middle. It was in the middle. The floor was in the middle. And there were an underground. It was as big underground as overground tennis was. And all the gutthouse and everything, that went out into Phillips Street Garden, out to the nuns. They never minded it at all. That was done there. And Joe Fitzpatrick, Bobby Hinks, Bellevue again. Joe Fitzpatrick was the boss of the gutthouse. Yeah. So they used to, yeah. There's a smell in them. There'd be a smell of the factory, you know. But then there were 4 bacon factories in the Glen. Shaw's of Limerick was where the Regals are. Bows are still there at the other side, and there were another over where the Union Hall is. There were 4 factories. So there were plenty of activity. Jenny came over with Cromwell. He was Cromwell. He set up shop, went into pigs, and moved from here, Waterford, Mount Mellick, and Kerry.
You went from Denny's into Clonmeads, isn't it?
No, I went from Denny's to Murphy's Engineers. And from Murphy's Engineers, then I worked in every factory in Waterford. Every factory is in it. We went to the one, and the nuns worked with the convent, and the nuns and the Good Shepherd and everything. But my idea of the nuns and the Good Shepherd is not what you read on the paper today.
What was your memory?
Singing away.
Was what?
They were washing and ironing and singing away. They were all singing away. And there was one nurse up, and she'd stop and sing it for a while and read a parable out of it. That's Good Shepherd now, down there. Yeah. And there were a couple of nuns from the...
You didn't see it as a sad place at all?
What?
It wasn't a sad place?
Oh, not at all. No, it was there was one woman, you might know him. Do you know Tommy Grant, the musician?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, familiar, yeah. He's over from Ballymountain. The musician, he's playing, you do know me. But his aunt was a nun in there. But they'd be brought up to she'd be bringing them up to the Coliseum or the Savoy Ranch at 11 o'clock of a Saturday morning. A whole line of them, all in the one costume. And we'd have to wait till they're finished to go to the matinee ourselves. They went in the morning.
So it was like a private viewing, right?
Yes, they got private viewing. Yeah. Well, that's what we know about them, whatever about all the things that's coming out now, you know about them. But anyway, no, they were all, to the first place that I ever saw a sandwich. At that time, it was a turnover. Cut it down in halves and in cuts and everything. But the Good Shepherd Laundry, when the laundry wouldn't be out of a Saturday from the Good Shepherd, we'd have to go in for it. You know, and you go in and knock at the door, and they'd bring it out to you, you know. But you'd be waiting at the big door that's down now on the mall. You'd be waiting. But anyway, the door was open one day, and they were all eating in a table, you know. And then the nun came out, and she gave me a sandwich made by a pan loaf. You know the pan loaf sandwiches? That's the first time I ever saw. The rest was turnover, and in my time during the war, the turnover was black. The bread was pure black. Yeah, very healthy, but black. Now the reason why it is black is they were short of corn, wheat and corn, barley or whatever they mixed up in the bread. But they mixed oats with it, and the oats blackened the bread. But they mixed the oats with where to do up with the black bread. Yeah, so then
You probably pay for that now.
well, it is actually a good, it was healthy. She kept us alive. We're blaming that for keeping us alive. We're brought up on that. You know, that on jam now, you won't eat anything better, black with oats in it.
And tell me, just about, you know, when you go back to the early days in Slieverue when you were a child, can you tell me about any of the old characters that
Actually, there were lots of characters in it. Everyone was a character. The character, my godfather was the best character. He was the postman. And he delivered the post, Dick Murphy, you know. But when he was delivering, he wouldn't talk. He'd go in, down the letter, and walk out. Because if he was talking, he kept talking every house he go to. But when he'd be back to civvies then, when he'd take the uniform off, at dinner time. He talked the cows come home.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I was they all lined up on a corner there for in the evening in mass and everything. Played pitch and toss on the corner, and they all lined up, and they'd eventually move down to the pubs, get a drink and then go home. That was the routine.
And pitch and toss, was that gambling? Was there money?
Money with pennies and halfpence. Oh, that went into big gambling. You pitch the penny to the
And would there be any rows?
Oh God, big rows.
And speaking of games...
It was illegal too as
I
well.
know it's illegal, it was gambling.
Yes, you see, they always have to watch out for the guards.
And in the pubs then, would there be a lot of people play 30s?
Oh yeah. Well, there were car drives. Well, they play them up there. They played at the pub. They'd sit down and play. They played up there, yeah. And no, there were an awful lot done outdoor that time. I lived outdoor most of the time.
Yeah.
From the morning that I get up, because the shop was always full. And anyway, if it wasn't, you'd be sent out. My mother said, you couldn't stay, we were out there till 11 o'clock in the night. But when they were pitching toss, my job used to be, they turned the bicycle upside down, the dynamo. There were no light, you see. And they turned the bicycle upside down. We had to twist the pedal. So when the pennies had come down in the dark, they'd be throwing them up in the dark. And when they come down, I'd have to twist the pedal, and they'd see it was heads or hearts. You kept all the heads. That was pitch and toss.
So if you threw up the two coins...
You threw up the two coins on a comb, but they all had little things in their pocket, timber, or a pack of cigarettes. They put on a pack of cigarettes, and they threw it up. Oh yeah.
And if the two of them landed heads, the fellow threw...
He kept the heads. If they all turned heads, he'd keep the heads, and perhaps then the next man would do it. And they keep tossing them till they end up with nothing. And, you keep the heads. But then, what they used to do then, there was a second part of it. The lads that have the harps, that would be out of the game, they'd pitch again. They'd go off and pitch again and start another.
Right, okay, start another game, okay.
Yeah.
And with the cards and all that, do you remember someone teaching you how to play it?
Playing the cards? Well, it is, yeah. Well, it was the more red and the less the black. It was simple as that. It wasn't...
Wasn't too complicated?
No, it wasn't complicated. To get complicated because you get awful clever at it, because the joker was the best and the five, the knave and all that thing. Yeah.
And did you play with the joker?
We wouldn't allow play it at all. They used to play with the joker. They play with the joker, yeah. But that was a busy corner now. They used to buy rabbits there was a man who used to buy rabbits on the corner. And of course they used to lamp the rabbits in the night. And tons of rabbits in the fields that time. And they'd be down to sell them. He'd be catching them. He'd bring them off to the factory, bring them to Clover Meats and Camp Oil.
Oh, the factories would buy the meat?
Oh, it was all rabbits, yeah. Rabbits and Camp Oil. Well, you see, it was during the war. During the war. So that's how they bombed Camp Oil. They found the tinned rabbits on the beach. The Germans did. With Camp Oil rabbits. Next thing he appeared, the plane appeared. I was in it. They came for Saturday. We were all looking at it. We were all standing up there, looking at the plane going up. Yeah, she circled around.
And Michael, do you remember, the old days now, the old people, would they have much superstitions around this?
Oh, they had.
Yeah. Could you tell us some of those old ones?
Well, the old people, you see, they were all professors and teachers. That was in it. But one thing they used to do, the women used to meet here every day after dinner. They'd be all here. The women of the houses, the teachers and things, they'd be there around the fire in this house. That's it there. Oh no, in the next place, the next place. They'd be there. We couldn't even make noise playing outside. They'd come out and shut us up. Whatever they'd be talking about, don't ask me. But they'd be yapping away there all dinner time, and then they'd go, oh no, that was a routine. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But what question did you ask me?
Superstitions.
What the superstitions? Father Dowling used to be home often. You know, he was in Kilkenny and he used to be down. But in the night when the men going home after closing time, they all had ass and cars and things. They'd lie in the car and that's it, bring them home, you know what I mean? But there was one man in the name of Vericher. He'd done the same thing. He had a right cosy car. He'd sleep in it, he in it. But anyway, he got up the road, because he lives at the very top of up in the kind of way up there, you know. The horse would bring him home. And anyway, he'd only go as far as the hurling field, where the gate of the hurling field is now. And the horse would stop. Now they used to find him sleeping in the car in the morning. The horse stood still and all, you know. But anyway, that was the common thing. But anyway, one night he was sober going up, and he was driving up anyway. The horse stopped at the gate, the hurling field gate, and wouldn't go. And he came down to Father Dowling. The bloody horse was up there, he's standing, he won't move. Father Dowling went up with the prayer book, walked in front of the horse walked, and he got into the trap, he got into the car and home with him. Now there's a superstition that's real. Now, when they were putting in the hurling field, when they were doing the hurling field, there was a person buried inside that gate. They found a skeleton in the hurling field. And so what's the difference between superstition? That's like, so the horse anyway knew more than we did.
And just on that too, because I know a lot of the older generation especially, they would have believed in the fairies as well.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I mean,
the fairies, the fairy tree over there was the post office is at the end of them. In the middle of the field, there was the fairy tree over there, and that was, we weren't to touch it or to play around it or anything, and that's how I used to play with the only two was in the village, the two Hartleys, and but anyway, when they changed the road, when the new road, the present one, when they put that in, that tree had actually been in the middle of the roundabout. The roundabout, that tree, they cut down that tree to put the roundabout in it. Now, there were 6 killed there since. 6 killed at that roundabout. So there's another one. Another one is up on the Kill Road in Rocketsfair. There's a fairy fort inside there, you know, which was a nuisance for ploughing and you know what I mean. There's one in the mile post the same, but the one up there. So that anyway, Dick custom over for the horler, Dick the horler, custom cut the trees. Now the last one he was cutting, and the bow fell down, he broke his leg and he hurled for Kilkenny. The last one of the bows. So there's pishogery, if you like. But worse still, he had a young son that would be better than himself, a hurler, playing underage hurling. He was playing the ball in the barn above. And the tractor was outside. You know, one time they'd have the tractor outside and the belt going in the way, through a hole in the wall, you know, to twist the crusher. And he was playing in there with the ball. Didn't the ball go over under the belt? And he went over to reach in for it, bang, cutting the belt. So there's hard-look stories or pishogery or call it whatever you like. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about other things. Do you remember then when EIGSE started off and all that?
No, I do, yeah. Well, my next step at this corner up there is on the maternal side. I was telling you that we went from Griffin up to Nicholas-town, Ballinacone. And they went from that to Patrick. So my great-grandfather married in Patrick. Married a woman by the name of Attridge, Ellen Attridge. This now were to the Attridges. Now, they lived in Patrick, just down from the graveyard, the old Patrick graveyard. So, Graves is in the game. They lived down from there. So, the Connebeg and the Formby that used to go to two merchant ships from Waterford to Liverpool. One would go up on a Monday and come back on a Wednesday. The other would go up on a Wednesday and come back on the thing. And anyway, they were trading. That was the trading thing. So then the war started. When the war started, and the German submarine got under the line. They had all mined from here to France, so that the submarines couldn't nesh it, you know. But he got under it, the German did, and he couldn't believe it. That one was coming down, the other was going up. He got the two of them together. But that's documented, because the log book is England. We know nothing from England. There's not a word from England. It's still missing them two ships. And my grandmother sure died thinking they're gone to Newfoundland. They'll be back. She was waiting for her to come back, and I think the woman who was sat on the quay in a chair, waiting for him to come back. But they're still missing. That's still. All they got was one woman was on it, a coup. Her body was found. That there were no male found, and they found the name of the Formby, nothing of the Connebeg. But they tell us they got plenty coal from the boats, you know, the coal boat. Yeah. Now, that's the now why the Germans sank him is another story they'll have to sort out, because Germany was an ally at the time. Roger Casement, they were giving them guns to come over for. Germany was an ally, and they were helping Ireland. But what did England do? They put guns on the ships. They put guns on them, and disguised them. You wouldn't think to be. And Hitler immediately, when he heard there were guns on him, he said, shoot every merchant ship you see. And they done it. That's why. Your man from Camp Oil, when he bombed Camp Oil, he was making for Clover Meats. He actually went down there because Clover Meats tin stuff was there, and he couldn't find it. He couldn't find it because the roof was painted green. Yeah.
They were camouflaged.
They camouflaged the roof, and they had the barrels in the fields to stop a plane from landing. That was the.
And a lot of fellas from here worked in Clovermeats.
They did, yeah. Well, sure, they ended up there times. 600 was the normal crowd, and it could. It's a season it would go to 1200s. Yeah, but what made Clover Meats was the new houses in the village here. The field, the Holland field was in the village up here. There were 18 houses built in that. So with them 18 houses, all the families came that was working in Clover Meats. They all came down, got a house there, famous.
And so there's a lot of children and all that.
Yeah, they're all children and famous people. But there were teachers there. There were a lot of teachers in them house. You know, there were teachers, John Cummins and the Murphys, and there were 3 teachers there, along with the teachers in the village. So they began, yeah, so the family, all big families. And they all grew up, were educated and went their way. There's only one in every house now, in the 18 houses. To reduce that. Yeah. So that was that's why Clover Meat. Now the famous people that came, Jack Wheeler came down from EIGSE, and Ned Wheeler, his son, he won 3 All-Irelands with Wexford. Now he was here up to 18, and his father went to Clover and Wexford, transferred, and Ned played for Wexford. So that was one. And another man that came down was Jack Sullivan. Jack Sullivan married a woman called May Larissy, one of the Henneberries, and Gilbert Sullivan is their son, Jack. Yeah.
And where did he come from, Jack?
Jack Carlow. Yeah. And he married May, one of the Henneberries. The 2 Henneberries were sunk in the Conneberries. That's why yeah. Now we're always expecting him to give us a hand and come over and to give us a, you know, to
return.
Oh, he's making, he makes us. He's up the same standards as Bono and all them. That's his level of. But anyway, he came 4 times, and no audience. He filled Albert Hall, and he came to the Israel and Waterford after, and no audience. The same with Baldunigan.
We don't appreciate our own.
Of course not. No, they wouldn't. Only for the relations, the Israel would be empty. Didn't want to know.
What?
They didn't want to know. Yeah. No, he tried it twice after. And now, Baldunigan's the same. When we were on, the musicians. Baldunigan served his time in the hall down there. And the Irish show band, actually, the foundation of that is in the hall. Michael Coppinger and Harry Boland and all. School teacher in Slieverue, Mrs. Morrissey, was trained them. She trained them. They were, and the show band was born out of that. Yeah. So in the hall. Now, how was the other one? I was going to tell you. Oh yeah, Baldunigan. Yeah, he gave his life story. Did you see the documentary?
I did actually. It was very good.
Yeah. Now, but Baldunigan says that when his father was getting buried, the funeral, when it was going out to Ballygunner, he was playing football in the park. See, that's the. He said that now, in the. You see,
don't remember that bit now. I saw it.
Yeah, oh, he'll put it in it. That's what is right, you know. Which was, his father's an alcoholic. That explains, you know what I mean? It was, now, Val Dunigan's sister. Val Dunigan's sister is married to Jack Donovan's, Christy Donovan over in Carriganora. Val Dunigan's sister is married to her. You see, you don't hear. So with the Slieverue connection,
there's a lot of connections.
Yeah, but they're not heard of, for some reason or other. They're not heard of things, which goes now to the whether we like it or not. Now they're going to somebody, whether Waterford or Kilkenny, or celebrate Christmas week this year. That's the 100 years, 1917. This
100 years from which?
It's going to 1917. Christmas week, 1917. They were sunk.
Oh, the holiday,
yeah. And this is 2017. So next Christmas, whether it is Waterford or are they going to do anything in there, or you know what I mean? But it looks blue because when they were going to put the monuments that's up there already, you know, that was a private collection between the family.
Yeah, I heard that.
Not unsubscribed either. So you have Gilbert Sullivan. You have they didn't want to know about the ones below. President Robertson opened it. No, that's so. Now, see that? That Titanic there. That was sunk in 1910. And my father always said, they keep talking about that Titanic, he says. And now what about 85 people from Waterford, this parish and Waterford. Not a word in Carrick about them, as if they... But that's the Titanic, of making films, that busters and... So you see, what's the... Yeah, but anyway, my time in Slieverue school was Ellen Attridge and the families, the Walls, the Cooks, the Hannaberrys, the Connellys, they're all the shipping, they were all on the boats, Welsh's above. They all had families on either one of boats or the other boat. All on the tombstones, you know. But anyway, my uncle was Tommy Griffin, and he was living in Giles Street in Waterford, and he had 9 children. So he was one of the casualties, Tommy, and he who was born out of that now is, I'll name him to you, the Printer Griffins, the Ballandud Griffins, and the Gallaghers. They were all the Gallagher printers and do you know the Gallaghers? Yeah, they're all
They're all related to you then?
Yeah. And the Connolly and the Formley. They're all that. And they're all, the oldest of them now are like myself. I'm the oldest of them, going on 86. You see, no one, after me, they'll know anything about them. And the same with them, you know. So anyway, that's the show. With the shipping.
Well, that's great, Michael. That's really good. I think we're getting enough there now.
Oh, well,
we'd
be here all night if you...
It's great to get some of those stories, because they're really good.
Yeah.
They're very important to get onto camera, because, you know,
oh, well, it is.
In 100 years' time, they'll be very important.
Oh, between. But what kills me for what I, in my lifetime was all the things. They're all coming to look now, 100 years after, things that they didn't bother while, you know what I mean, while they were happening, or when it was all over and all that sort of thing, you know. No, there's a lot to be sorted out. Now all this, the biggest industrial place when I was a fisher was this side of the river. They had the radio factory, they had the paper mills, they had the sack and bag in Folklore, in Sally Park. Yes, Sally Park's after disappearing, and you know what I mean.
Well, all those industries are
then
all
Clover meats, and on it, you know, all up that side of the river, and the flour mills.
And you know, when you said the radio company, were they the crowd who used to make the records?
Yes,
okay.
and radios, and tire soles. All the industries was here, and they all like the Titanic. They all disappeared, and the mill below. There used to be a line of cars out as far as Slieverue here, bringing corn to the mill.
And then also, obviously, the other big thing that's changed that happened in your lifetime is the docks moved from Waterford.
The docks
down to
Town River.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I can tell you.
I mean, the idea of not seeing the ship in Waterford.
What?
You know what I mean? Like when you were growing up, the Waterfords would be full of ships.
Yeah. Oh, full of ships. Yeah. But better still, there was a shipyard at either side. There was a shipyard in Graves' and in Ferrybank. Built ships. That's what they call it, the slip, you know. No, that moved to Belfast. The thing. But there were one in who was their names? Anyway, their name. There was a ship.
Strangman was a big one.
No, there were a bigger one down below Graves' there. Okay. They were famous. They went on strike when screws were made. When screws came on the market, you know they wouldn't use them. It was all riveting, you know, and they riveted everything. And it was banging in the rivets. And when the shipyard across the way, they'd be riveting with the normal hammering, and the lads at the Kilkenny side. It'd be going normal. Then the Kilkenny lads would increase the speed of it, and they keep hammering faster, and the sweat would be pouring off for the lads at the other side. That was a
competition.
Well, a competition, but it depends on what match you won on the weekend.
But it's a funny place in the sense that you are very much County Kilkenny.
Yeah, but when I tell you about the fort before I finish, it went downstream.
Yeah.
The Waterford Harbour didn't want to know about it. And 2 ships to be filled, empty ships. The Waterford Harbour didn't want to know and didn't. And how they got out of that is the lads that got the redundancy put the money in to help him. Ferrybank and Slieverue. They paid him the money, and they kept it going. But as soon as it got going below, they were ignored. They're not in business anymore, if you know what I mean. After they keeping it going, you know. Now there's that's the story there. There were actually 3, but I mean, it was big money. They put the redundancy. The awful lot of people put the redundancy money in that. But when it opened again, they closed again. So that's well that you couldn't.
Thanks,
yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
great.